Here's how Korea is reacting to the ICE raids at the Hyundai battery plant in Georgia.
We need construction to cease immediately.
And
this is the lady that called to the 475 working people at the Hyundai factory. Her name is Terry Branham.
Hi lovelies, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Belinda Strana. Thank you so much for all the love and support. To my returning subscribers, to those people that share my videos, leave commentaries, and also educate each and every one of us, you guys are the real MVP.
So lovelies, I came across this video on my For You, and I thought to share with current people are reacting to the fact that bank man called eyes on some group of construction workers and got them all about to be deported. But the thing is that they have actually been a response that got the whole of the social platform reacting. Lovelies, I'm just going to roll the clip as well as some of other stitches I was able to put together. Please leave me your own thought in the comment section of what you think of this video. And please do not forget that we do not support any form of bullying and harassment. We are just here for educational and informative purposes. Alright lovelies, let's dive into it because this pan-colored man is all out, doubling out. Even orange man is doubling down. Alright lovelies, let's dive into it.
Did you see these videos of an immigration raid at a Hyundai construction site in Georgia? Listen to this.
Warrant for this entire construction site, okay? We're Homeland Security. We have a search warrant for the whole site. We need construction to cease immediately. We need all work to end on the site right now.
This happened at the construction site for the Hyundai and LG Energy Solutions new battery plant in Georgia, where agents from FBI, DEA, ICE, HSI, Georgia State Patrol, and others detained 450 people, including more than 300 Korean nationals. According to reports, agents went into the facility and asked everyone if they were U.S. citizens. Then they put U.S. citizens on one side and everyone else put on the other side and harassed and forced to show their immigration paperwork. Because of the raid, the South Korean government is very concerned about its company's investments in the U.S. and the treatment of its people. The South Korean government is trying to figure out why the construction site was raided, saying that the detained South Koreans had entered the U.S. on a B-1 temporary visitor visa. However, it is unclear if those workers subsequently tried to get a work visa or if they even knew that they couldn't work with the visa they had. But like we have seen from this administration, they're going after migrants regardless of their status. Hyundai did say that they're working with the U.S. government in the investigation, but if this is how the U.S. is going to treat workers, maybe more companies and potential employees should reconsider coming to the U.S. Look, I'm not trying to defend corporations that are probably taking advantage of their workers and their status. I'm concerned about the people. A lot of people were detained, which means kids probably went home with either one or both of their parents missing. These are people who are working, most likely paying taxes, and their only infraction is probably not having the proper paperwork to work in the US. And out of desperation, they took a job. This could all be a lot easier if the US government actually let people adjust their status. If you think these people can migrate all the way to the US, get a job, pay taxes, but somehow they're not smart enough or law-abiding enough to adjust their status, then you have no idea how the immigration system actually works. This government makes it intentionally difficult for people to adjust their immigration status. Or in the case of the Trump administration, revoking people's status to make them undocumented. So undocumented people can be exploited, used as pawns in these political games, and at the end are the ones that are blamed for everything while the bosses and corporations get off free.
South Korea is chartering their own plane to pick up the over 300 nationals who were wrongfully detained by ICE in that fiasco that happened in Georgia. South Korea said, "We do not need your services, America. We are taking our people back home and screw you." And now Orange Oompa Loompa is doubling down. He's backtracking because when this fiasco first started, he was like, they're illegal aliens. ICE was just doing their job. And now this heifer is saying, well, maybe we should bring their people here and have them train Americans. Maybe we need to look into making the process a little better. Making the process a little better. Sir, they were here on valid visas. What are you talking about? And obviously the fallout from this is huge, right? Because I bet people in his cabinet told him the severity of the situation and that this has caused an international conflict. That the deal that he made with President Lee Jae-myung of South Korea, the deal that they made where President Lee Jae-myung said that Korea was going to invest $350 billion into America, is on the line. And that South Korea is not happy right now. That's why that man is doubling down. That man is doubling down and backtracking because he is realizing that the international relation and the conflict that this has started, it's not going to be good for America and the American economy. Hyundai and LG have already stated that they are pulling back. They are slowing down the process of manufacturing cars and stuff like that. That this whole incident is going to take years to come back from. That they will not be fully operational for a very long time. I doubt any of the 300 Korean nationals are going to want to stay here in America after what they just experienced, being wrongfully detained by ICE and being stuck in an immigration detention facility, which we all know have terrible conditions. I highly doubt any of them are going to stay in America with the risk of them being detained again. All of those people are going to go back to Korea. And it is going to be extremely hard for Hyundai and LG to convince Koreans to come to America to help train Americans and to help them get these plants back up. It has caused irreparable damage. Irreparable damage. It is going to be very difficult to do that. Because a lot of those workers in Korea that work for Hyundai and LG, actually any international business in Korea that's looking to come to America, they're going to look at this whole incident and be like, I don't want to go to America. I don't want to be wrongfully detained by ICE. I don't want to be stuck in a detention facility. And it's going to be extremely difficult for them to bring anybody from Korea here to get them to even work here or to even get them to train the people, American people, without this incident being a huge factor in their decision making. I also want to emphasize how difficult it is to I guess not difficult, but how hard it is to get somebody out of immigration. Once you're in immigration, once immigration picks you up, once ICE picks you up, it takes months for them to process you. Okay? The fact that the South Korean government jumped on this and they helped protect their people, helped protect their own nationals because they knew that America was going to ship them somewhere that they would not know where they would be because they do not trust American government. They don't trust American law enforcement. The fact that they jumped on this fast, yeah, that's why they're going home. They're going home, and South Korea said, we are going to count all of the 300 nationals who are detained by ICE and make sure that these people get out and they go back home. And I doubt any of them are going to stay here. And Korean people are looking at this whole incident and feeling betrayed. They are looking at Americans a little bit different. Not a little bit, actually. They're looking at Americans differently, very differently.
Here's how Korea is reacting to the ICE raids at the Hyundai battery plant in Georgia.
We need construction to cease immediately.
And this raid is the largest single-site operation that DHS has conducted in history. Of the over 450 people arrested right now, around 300 of them are Korean nationals. And this has come as quite a shock to South Korea right now because Koreans are usually not the target of ICE raids. A Korean newspaper even had this cartoon right here where they are depicting Trump as a sort of a bully. It starts off by saying that the US was begging Korea for more investments, and now they're arresting hundreds of South Koreans on a business trip. Literally just last month, South Korea's President Lee Jae-myung met with President Trump and they reaffirmed their alliance as well as business relationships. The US has been pressuring South Korea to invest billions of dollars into the American industry, and they were ramping up this pressure in the past few months. Korea recently agreed to a $350 billion investment into the American economy. And part of that investment was this Hyundai LG factory that was set to open next year. This facility was going to be Georgia's biggest industrial investment in the state's history, and it was supposed to help boost the state's economy. Officials are saying that a lot of these employees were actually South Korean nationals there on a temporary visa for a business trip who have been sent to help finish building electric car battery factories. First of all, South Korea's foreign ministry came out immediately to say that they are expressing concern and regret over Washington's decision to do this, and that this will send a chilling effect to the US in terms of business. I mean, President Trump has vowed to arrest the worst of the worst criminals with ICE raids, so I think Korea is shocked that this happened at one of their biggest factories in the US. I mean, the US is coming out and saying that they did this raid because they think the employees are there illegally or have overstayed their visas, and investigations are still currently ongoing. Now, LG is ordering all of its employees that are on business trips in the US to immediately return to Korea, and they're going to reconsider sending anyone else on business trips to the US right now.
The Hynd ICE raid in Georgia just shows that a lot of this country still does not realize that some of these workers can't be replaced. That's not a joke. We tried to copy Asians already, recently, and it didn't work. If you didn't know, we gave grants to TSMC, the largest chip manufacturer in the world, to come to the US and manufacture chips locally. This would not only create jobs, but also ensure that the US has some chip manufacturing capability. Because right now, all the top chip manufacturers in the world are in Asia, and that scares the US government. So because of the US grants to push manufacturing here, TSMC set up huge factories in Arizona. And what happened? Well, plans were announced in 2020 and manufacturing still hasn't started as of today, as far as I'm aware. And a big reason for that is Americans just don't work as hard. There have been reports of American workers not wanting to be on call for emergencies, clashing with management from Asia. It's just a different work culture. And being on call isn't for everyone, but when you're making microchips, these insane pieces of technology with components nanometers wide that require super sanitary conditions, the work culture just isn't to be found here. Now, that's not to say all Americans are like this, but we all know that work and study culture in Asia is much more important over there than it is here. And I'm guessing now the Hyundai factory is going to experience these same problems. It's obvious to me that this administration is more focused on creating a whiter America than anything else. Because instead of deporting Hispanics and Korean nationals who can and will do the work that other people can't, why doesn't our government focus on bringing down, I don't know, grocery and gasoline prices like they promised on day one? Why are we busy banning vaccines in Florida and switching out office plaques in the Department of Defense so that they can say Department of War instead? Not a great plan.
A mouth breather in my comments being like, what if I went to Korea and opened up a factory and hired a bunch of illegals? You think the Korean government would like that? First of all, Dave, go ahead and try. Go for it. Open your factory in Korea. Let's see how that goes. Second of all, I don't think we fully understand what these Korean companies are in Korea. It's called chaebol. Chaebol literally translates to rich family. These are dynastic companies and they hold a lot of power. And that's why the Korean government gets involved, because the Korean government and Korean companies are very much enmeshed with each other, which is why these deals are set up by the president to the president. So the president of Korea and the president of the United States met earlier, like 2 weeks ago, about these factories and about investments in America, because the Korean government works for the chaebol and the chaebol works for the Korean government. They're like one and the same. So it's not even close to just going to another country and opening up a factory. This is like foreign relations. They're so elite, you will never meet a member of this family. They're so untouchable. Think of the most famous Korean person you know. They're even higher than that person. That person is at a lower level. And if you ever meet somebody from a chaebol, no, you didn't. No, you didn't. They lied. So no, this isn't just setting up a factory in a different country. This is foreign relations. And the United States messed up big time.
The ignorance of the lady who called immigration on that Hyundai factory is going to cause an international incident. Because South Korea, the country, is very upset with that raid. They were under the understanding that they had a deal with the United States. These people who were here working at that factory were allowed to be there. They came the right way. They went through the process. They had visas to be there. And on top of that, they were there to set up the logistics for the building of the factory. Once that was done, they were going to be hiring local people to work there. So not only did she cost jobs for the very people who she thought she was arguing for, she has created a scenario where Hyundai and potentially the entire country of South Korea is not going to want to do business here in the United States. That will cost this country money. That will cost this country jobs. That will cost her local area in Georgia a lot of financial stability. And this lady is supposed to be running for some sort of state Senate seat? You're supposed to be advocating for the American people when all you're doing is letting your ignorance and your prejudice cost this country more than it has already lost. And to add insult to injury, she called it Hyundai. I mean, come on. I've seen the videos she's made trying to explain her decision, trying to justify what she did. She was wrong. And people like her who agree with her actions, you are also wrong. And you are the reason why nothing is getting better in your areas.
I really don't understand the ICE raid on the Hyundai power plant. It's so comically illogical that my first thought was somebody close to Trump from within his organization is trying to sabotage him by giving stupid instructions to ICE. Because one of the main reasons for tariffs is to encourage foreign companies to operate in US soil. And not for nothing, like that's a valid way to use tariff. All my liberal friends became like the most obnoxious version of someone who's taken Econ 101, like, oh, tariffs get passed straight to the consumer. No, sometimes companies like Hyundai decide to build a factory in the USA to get around the tariffs. I'm not bringing that up to say like the tariffs were like a win. I don't know what the net effect of that was. But Hyundai building a plant in the USA to hire US workers to produce batteries for them to sell, that is literally the textbook scenario of success with a tariff. Literally exactly what you want. And then he raids it with ICE and gets rid of the people. The Koreans were there to set up the factory, which is harder than working at the factory, right? Is setting it up for the first time, and then train US workers to do the job. I tend to give people credit. Like Trump winning the 2016 election, a lot of you are too young to remember this. Like in 2015, Fox News and the Republican Party did not like him. He had to beat the Republicans, and then he had to beat Hillary Clinton to become president for the first time. So I've never thought that he was dumb. I don't think he's a mastermind. Like, oh, 4D chess. Like, you know, like I've seen those memes, like his supporters. Like, I don't think that. But he's not dumb. But now I'm thinking that he might actually be. And everything else was like a crazy happy lucky accident. Like that's very hard to believe. I think he was smart and now his mind is starting to go. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. Like what did he think was going to happen? Like right or wrong, I can't even understand what his thought process was.
The way these people were being treated is what matters. I didn't know a damn thing about the Koreans. That wasn't my dish, and obviously that's being investigated because they had work visas that had expired.
First of all, Tori, you look like the love child of Kate Gosselin and Mama June. Second, you should see what the President of the United States has to say about this because he's walking this back as well.
It's a battery factory that cases up told. And you know, when they're building batteries, if you don't have people in this country right now that know about batteries, maybe we should help them along and let some people come in and train our people.
Because Hyundai, pronounced like Sunday, not Hyundai like you're saying, is a Korean company. So it makes sense in this instance that Hyundai would send Korean nationals over to train people as those factories are being built. And I notice you have your comments turned off in your most recent video, so it sounds like someone can't take the heat. Because you potentially royally screwed up the Georgia economy. You're risking potentially up to 8,500 jobs. And you said that you didn't know that there were Korean workers there, which means that you probably didn't know anything at all. Because if it's already difficult for you to pronounce Hyundai, then, you know, I'm assuming that a lot of other things are probably difficult for you too. But anyways, have the day you deserve.
Yo, so by now, you've heard about what happened at the Hyundai plant in Georgia, right? We all know about that lady, MAGA, who's running for office, who reported those people and got them people raided. Well, now Syphilitic Sid has entered the chat. And he's now saying that these foreign companies that are coming here need to train and hire American citizens. Well, dumbass, that's what they were trying to do. That's exactly what they were trying to do. 475 people got rounded up, right? But not all of them were here illegally. Some, yes, some were. Some had overstayed their visas. Others were actually engineers and tech support, tech analysts who worked for LG, the battery company that partners with Hyundai, and they were there to help get the plant up and running so that they could hire and train Americans. It's estimated that 1,200 people would be working at that plant. And then once those people got the plant up and running and were able to train those American workers, more than likely they would have left. But I think the best part of the story for me is South Korea said, what the, never mind. And they sent a chartered plane along with immigration attorneys to pick up their people and bring them home. They said, if that's how you're going to treat our people, we'll just come get them. So now that plant is pretty much at a standstill. All them jobs that would have actually gone to Americans in that plant, more than likely gone. So to that MAGA lady, good job. Good job. If that was the outcome you wanted, because, of course, you're going to go back to the immigrants are taking our jobs. No, those immigrants were here to train people for jobs. So
I don't know if you guys actually saw the video I stitched the other day where a pan-colored woman was all happy. She had a very good happy ending to the fact that she saw some group of courier company workers, and these people are known for their accountability, and they actually were doing whatsoever they were doing in order to create job and opportunity to the citizens of the United States. But this fine colored woman actually thought that it was all nice for her to call eyes on these thugs. She came around and she was all bragging about it. Mind you, she is trying to contest on something on the said city that she called eyes on these Korean construction workers. This actually inspired a lot of controversy on the space of social platform, in the sense that these people were actually not undocumented immigrant, but they are actually foreign workers who came to work in order to provide job opportunities to the citizen. But this women, because she thought she knew everything, she know it all, she decided to call eyes on this Korea construction workers. And now the internet are not having it. The Korean, people were like, okay, we are going to take back our workers. Like, hello. At the end of the day, who is actually losing? These guys are there for your own betterment, for your own development. But this woman decided that, I know it all. I am a Karen. I just want to go do the God's work. I want to let you know how rare and cis I can be. But these people keep forgetting that rare and cis can be so dangerous. Variances can cause your economy to flop. It can cause your job. It can cause your finances. It can cause everything that you have ever lived for. And the thing is that when I went to her page, she was like, okay, even though you guys thought I did something wrong, I know deep inside of me that I did something so right. Like, hello, Mrs. Me. You cannot know more than every other person that had been complaining that whatsoever you did might going to shake and shackle the economy. But no, she does not even want to look into that. She just wants her mouth. She just running her mouth. To tell you that these guys do not care about losing it all because they just want to be in control. They want to feel that rain. See, sometimes I keep asking myself, what does it even feel like to destroy someone in order for you to have this satisfaction? You don't care if your economy is in shambles. So far you have done your part. So far you have done something that you feel that is so right for you. Like, seriously, these guys might maybe be running out of their visa getting expired, but that does not really mean that they came there illegal. I think their company actually sent them over to go do something, and at the end of the day, they might even go ahead to train the US workers. And now they said construction whatsoever that was supposed to take place has been stopped. Oh God. Racism indeed is very, very, very costly. And these guys aren't gonna learn. They won't learn until when everything is totally destroyed. They won't learn. I just hope by the end of the day, they will wake up to their slumber, learn, adjust, because I have never seen a city or a nation run on its own. A nation or a city needs each other to run and succeed. But these people are just making it look like, oh, they can survive on their own. Anyway, lovelies, why not just leave me your own thought in the comment section of what you think of this video. And please do not forget that we do not support any form of bullying and harassment. We are just here for educational and informative purposes. So lovelies, if you've not subscribed or liked this video, please do your baby girl a huge favor to subscribe, like, share your thought in the comment section of what you think, and I will see you lovelies when I upload the next one.
So just leave me your own thought in the comment section of what you think of this video. Please do not forget that we do not support any form of bullying and harassment. We are just here for educational and informative purposes. So lovelies, why not just leave me your own thoughts, subscribe, and I will see you lovelies when I upload the next one.